What is up, and welcome back to 24 Minutes of A24, the podcast that takes a look at the A24 library 24 minutes at a time. I'm Ethan Simi.
And I'm Ben Lawhorn. This week on the pod, we are reincarnating dead loved ones as we discuss Bring Her Back.
A brother and a sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. That is what this movie is about. That is what Bring Her Back is about. Of course, this movie from the Philippou brothers. This is their sophomore outing with A24 after having kind of the smash breakout hit that was Talk to Me out of Sundance that A24 bought out of the festival. They are in the A24 stable now, it seems, and I think that's an interesting conversation that maybe we can have. How are you, Ben? How is life? How are things?
I'm good. I've recovered from watching this movie. Some stuff I'm sure we'll get into as we talk about it, but I'm doing okay. We have a real hard cut to the next episode we're doing from this one. Those are two extremely different movies, so I'm excited to just venture into both of those camps.
Yes, it is going to be quite a thematic whiplash, I think, this episode and the next episode. Now, we have not talked about this movie. So let it be known, we have saved, you have saved in particular, your thoughts for this pod. But we'll get into that in just a second. There's one thing of housekeeping that I do want to put on the board here. We talked about it last episode when we talked about Friendship and how badly I want A24 to make a collector's Blu-ray. They heard us, and they did it, and they are giving us a 12-minute cut of the Tim Robinson, Cara O'Malley garage scene. Life just can't get any better.
That's what we needed. I'm super excited about it. This will be an immediate purchase. This is gonna be fun, and I mean, I love a good gag reel, and I feel like this thing's got to have some fantastic stuff on there. So I'm excited about this announcement.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this announcement. I did have a $25 gift card that I got from A24 for my birthday recently that I've been sitting on in hopes that Friendship saw a Blu-ray release. It did, and then with the A24 discount, I ended up paying $7 for the Friendship Blu-ray, which I believe is supposed to ship in August. Which reminds me, this wasn't on the housekeeping slate because I know you don't like this movie, but a handful of weeks ago, A24 released for the 1-year anniversary of I Saw the TV Glow. They re-released the Mr. Sprinkles t-shirt. They did a pretty cool kind of collector's vinyl. They did some other really neat things. One of those very neat things I did, in fact, pre-order is the I Saw the TV Glow on VHS. And I've been in the market for a TV VHS combo for a very long time. Still out of luck, but I hope I get one soon so I can enjoy the movie on a VHS player the way that it was designed. It looks really great. I know I texted this to you and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And that was about the response I got.
I'm very happy for everyone that enjoys this movie, and I go with God. That's fantastic.
Oh, that is great. Wonderful stuff. Okay, let's pivot and talk about a new release from A24. This is, at the time this episode comes out, won't be their newest release because this episode will drop the first day that Materialists, goes nationwide. But Bring Her Back is the new horror movie in the stable for A24. What did you think of Bring Her Back, Ben?
I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it more than I anticipated. I know I liked it more than you based on Letterboxd reviews. But it still wasn't Talk to Me, which is like maybe an unfair thing to do. And I totally understand that. Going into Us after Get Out, I was like, well, it wasn't Get Out. I love Us, you know what I mean? But it's just like, it's not really fair to compare it, but it's what I have to go off of. And so Talk to Me is still, higher, but I enjoyed this more than I thought I would. I was watching some scenes through my fingers. There were a couple of moments where I was oh shit, what's going to happen? I, for some reason, was just not in the place to watch a scary movie at all. I was not in a place to do that. But, I'm here for the people and they want to hear what we think about these movies. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go. on $5 Tuesday, and I'm going to watch this movie, and I'm going to be in like pretty close to the screen. And I'm just going to take this in, and goddamn, there's some gnarly shit in this movie. I think it was not a great movie by any means, but I had a good time, as you can with these kind of movies. The physical aspects of it, the things that they were able to show on screen, some of it just blew my mind. I was like, wait, how are they doing this? Like, how are these kids' teeth not that jacked up? You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much going on there. Narratively, whatever, it just didn't really make much sense to me. You know, I'm just like, all right, like I don't care about this at all. Like, I get it. I understood what they were doing. Yeah. I was like, I didn't really care about it. But yeah, I don't know. It was fine. Like I said, I had a good time. I left like, wow, that was an experience for sure. But I know that if you put one of this or Talk to Me in front of me, I'm going to watch Talk to Me again.
Yeah. Go with God. That's what I say to you. That's,
cool.
That's what I say in response to your review. I did review this video on YouTube, and I did like a little TikTok that went, I guess, semi-viral, so people might know my thoughts on this movie already. This is a great place to kind of dissect those, because I don't really do it in either of those places. I thought this movie was poor. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I just... about the opposite of you, and I see what they were going for, and I only cared about the narrative. I did not care about the jump scares. I didn't care about eating a knife. Of course, we're gonna spoil Bring Her Back, that's where we're going with this. I didn't really care about any of the gruesome stuff that was happening. I didn't really care for any of the performances. I was much more interested in the lore and the story that goes with the movie, and we will get into this and what that is, and I'd love to have a conversation about that, and in particular, and I think you brought up Talk to Me a couple of times. I think that for me is where the like biggest fork in the road is. I thought Talk to Me did a substantial, well, not perfect, but a substantial job at explaining the lore of the hand and the world that it takes you to, and I felt that Bring Her Back just like didn't do anything when it came to the lore, and that just didn't work for me. So it sounds like we agree in theory, but we have opposite feelings, right? Like you really liked the gore and the jump scares and those types of things, the horror spot of it, and didn't really matter to you about the narrative. And I was just like the complete opposite. I feel like I'm on the outs with this movie. A lot of people dug this movie, and I was getting blasted in the comments like pretty substantially of you just didn't understand it. I got it. I got it. It just didn't work for me. And so, to that I say film criticism is alive and well. And, people are really apt for other opinions. I had a tough set for this movie. Just wasn't for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that we are like the yin and yang on this, where it's just like the stuff that worked for us and didn't work for us. Cause like, I just didn't care about the narrative at all. I was like, this doesn't really
so
work for
interesting.
me. Like, this is whatever. But if it didn't have those jump scares or like the physical, like body horror stuff going on, this movie just would have been so much worse for me. Did that stuff not work for you? Like, were you not freaked out by it, or were you just kind of like, all right, he's chewing on a knife, whatever?
Yeah, I guess I was pretty much in that camp where I was just like, all right, yeah, he's chewing on a knife. I got it. Cool. Like, yeah, you guys are good at making horror movies and like scary things. Like, yeah, okay. I get that. For me, maybe it's an expectations thing. Like, it is hard, and we're going to keep coming back to this. It's kind of impossible not to. Like, we are going to talk about at the very end of this pod with our A1 Act of like sophomore movies, right? So the only other thing you have to go off of is the project that they made prior to this.
Yeah.
And I guess I just expected like a little bit more full body of like, it felt to me like a lot of the jump scares and the chewing on a knife were just like for the fact of doing it, right? Like, that's pretty scary, but also like, why does it matter? Like, why are we doing it? And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the Scrooge of this pod, but I do think we're going to have a very insightful conversation about things that worked and didn't work for each of us. And I love the yin and yang that we're bringing, but like, I rolled my eyes a lot at this movie. And like, not to reveal my hand, but the final sequence and the final scene where we get this top-down bird's eye view of the police encompassing the location, I thought was quite possibly the stupidest thing that they could have done. And maybe that's the root of my issue. I thought a lot of this movie leaned on heavy horror tropes that didn't work within the confines of this story particularly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I need to rewatch Talk to Me, but in watching this movie, it's like, oh, I don't think they fell back too much on what they did on Talk to Me. Like, we didn't get an opening like jump scare or whatever. Cause like Talk to Me, we get a knife to the head like within 3 minutes,
right away,
unexpectedly. It's like, oh shit. But we didn't have anything like that in this movie. Like we did kind of have like the musical montage of everyone having fun, which was cool. Like I thought that worked. That was kind of fun to see them doing that. But for me, they didn't like repeat stuff that they did before, which I give them some credit for. But you're right, like it does fall back on other tropes for sure. But horror, I think, is kind of a hard genre to not, fall into tropes sometimes.
Yeah. And I recognize that. And I think that's a great segue into the question that I have here on the dock, which is, do the Philippou brothers have it? Do they have the juice? Do they have the A24 horror juice? And I know that is like a really silly thing to say because A24 is just a distribution and production company that can buy anybody's product just like any other place can. But this is now their second movie with the company and with the brand. And of course, A24 buying Talk to Me out of Sundance is a vote of confidence in these guys, in these brothers and what they can do. And of course, Twitter saw the entirety of they're just YouTubers discourse over the last few weeks. And there is like a lot surrounding that. Again, film criticism alive and well. But I do pose that question to you because this movie makes me rethink my answer coming out of Talk to Me, where I was like, these guys have the juice. I love it. Yeah. I'm not so sure now.
I think, just going off the Letterboxd score here, we are both going to be rating this like lower than what the average is. So I think we're on the outs of what most people think about it. I think they have it, but I think doing the sophomore follow-up is hard. It's like, I think we've talked about this on here before, but like with musicians, you have your whole life to write your first album and then you have 2 years to write the next one, and that's kind of like, they were able to like use all of their YouTube prowess and know-how and jump scare stuff and get all that into Talk to Me, which did a great job. But now it's just like, well, we don't want to do that again, like completely, but what do we do now? So yeah, maybe they don't have it, or maybe they're still finding out what their it is. I'm not sure,
That is, again, a really, really good segue because you mentioned the Letterboxd. I'm kind of going through the Letterboxd, and you're right. Like, I gave this 2 stars on Letterboxd, which is a little bit harsh. The average is 3.7, which is like pretty high. I don't know what we'll find out live right now. What's the average of Talk to Me on Letterboxd? Let's find out. It is 3.5. Fascinating. That's really interesting to me. A movie that I rated 4 stars. So, which is another like kind of conversation piece that I want to have before we start doing true cinema and diving into the things that happened. So they basically took a horror movie and they made a really, really sad horror movie. And I think that's why a lot of people are really either liking this or not liking this. The people that really like it exclaim, this isn't a horror movie. This is a trauma, like a trauma drama, right? Yeah. Where it's like, it is actually about how we cope with the loss of those that we love. And I'm not naysaying that. I'm not discouraging that. But my counterpoint to that is A24 fucking sold us a horror movie. Like, the promo material for this is people screaming in an audience, in a theater. There are headlines saying, I vomited, I passed out, I walked out, I couldn't handle it. This is the craziest thing I've seen in 20 years. Like, so for me, that's like the biggest problem that I have is like, we were sold a horror movie that is horrific in parts. The kid eats a fucking knife. Like, that's intense, and I get
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's a big, like, what the fuck? But also, like, it's not really about either of those things. It's not a horror straight movie, and it's not a trauma drama because it just tries to use jump scares to get us to unpack trauma. That just didn't work for me whatsoever. And so I'm just stuck in this like gray no man's land of like nothing worked.
Yeah, I agree with that. I remember we did a live watch on here, right? Of the first of one of the trailers, I think, and or
Yeah.
we just talked about it. But I was
Yeah.
just like, the trailer freaked me the fuck out. Like, oh my god, this thing
Scary.
is going to be like so scary because that's what they were giving us. And even as I was watching the movie, it's like, oh, I mean, some of this is gnarly, but like this isn't. I had more scares in Talk to Me than I did in this. Like personally, like this was kind of messed up and gross, but I don't know that it like is as scary as they were working it up to be. So yeah, I could totally see kind of just being kind of misled about what you were walking into for sure.
Yeah. I don't know, and people will say like, oh, you just, can't go in with expectations. And it's like, we all go into every movie with expectations, guys. Like, that's
Yeah.
why we're there to see a movie. Like, is because you expect something to happen.
I think this was just kind of like it was maybe a little bit of a miss for the Philippou brothers.
Mhm.
I've heard some people refer to it as their Babylon, so I don't know, if
Okay.
that's just what I'm hearing out
Let's
there.
relax a little
But,
bit. That's what
yeah.
the streets say.
I don't know. It's just that's what the streets are saying. This is the Babylon of the Philippou brothers, so can't all be winners.
Yeah, tough break. Can't support every Babylon out there.
Yeah.
I will note that this had an extra writer on it. Danny Philippou and Bill Heinzman wrote Talk to Me. They both wrote Bring Her Back, and they are both on slate to write Talk to Me, the sequel, which I still have high hopes for. I still think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
The additional person on this is Daley Pearson. Not really known for anything in terms of writing, like just some sketch shows and little TV series and whatnot. But notable. I'm not throwing this guy under the bus. I'm just saying there was a difference to me in some of the narrative structure. Okay, I think it's beneficial if we start doing true cinema and start working through this movie, and then we can maybe kind of like break a lot of this down, because I do think the kind of North Star conversation about this is, does like the mixture of the narrative and the horror work here? Because it obviously there are a lot of people rating this movie 4.5 and 5 stars, and it was like exactly what they want out of a horror movie. And to that effect, like it just missed for both of us. So I wonder what that's about. Are you ready to do true cinema? Talk about this movie.
I am ready to do that. Yeah, let's party on true cinema.
Okay, so you did mention that there is no initial kind of jump scare, which I really appreciated in Talk to Me. I thought worked really well.
Yeah.
And my other big call out for this movie is it's missing the needle drop that we got in Talk to Me, right? Like, I think that's the Philippou brothers sauce. I think they're good at that, of like making horror seem cool and being like, I fuck with that, because that moment in Talk to Me is all about like, shit, these guys are having a great time. Like, I'd do the hand if I was here. None of this movie at all is like, yo, I'd live with Laura. This seems like a great time. Hell fucking no. Like, none of that works. And that's not the vibe that they're going for here, but I do think that is a big like key to what they deliver so well. So speaking of the opening, dad is dying in the shower is basically how we open this movie up. This movie follows a 17-year-old Andy and his younger stepsister Piper in foster care. They find their dad dead, and then that kind of like kicks off our movie. What did you think about the opening here? And do you think it was effective for setting up the narrative of the film?
Yeah, I think it worked overall. It was, I mean, it let us know like, okay, well, these kids obviously have to go somewhere now. So it moved the story forward a little bit. But yeah, it was just kind of strange. I think it's also super important. I don't know who's listening to this that hasn't watched it, but very important to mention that Piper is visually impaired, which is a huge part of the story. Like this just doesn't work without it, right? Like that's a huge thing. And then, yeah, we get some flashbacks to this later, and that's kind of where some of the gruesome stuff comes in. But I think it sets our trajectory pretty well.
I had a lot of questions about how he died.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is like a throwaway line somewhere that I just am not remembering. It seemed like he had a sickness. It seemed like he had something, and it wasn't just like a slip in the shower. But I maybe I could be wrong.
There's a moment I think where Laura says something about like your dad died in the shower. The shower didn't kill him because like she's trying to get
yes.
Andy to be like, it's okay to shower. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, the shower didn't do it. He just happened to be in there when it happened. So who knows? It could have been a blood clot. It could have been anything. You know what I mean? Like who knows? I don't think they ever address what it actually was.
The other thing you mentioned that Piper is visually impaired. She is blind.
Mm-hmm.
She can only basically make out like shapes and hues of things. I thought this to me, and this is a real fork in the road when you watch this movie. Like you either buy into this character trait or you do not. And I did not. I really thought it was pretty dumb to make Piper visually impaired because the entire movie rests on the fact that she cannot see what is happening. And I just think that's kind of lame. Like, I think that's a little bit lazy, to be honest, and to just be like, she's blind. She can't see all the crazy shit going on, but you can. It's like, yeah.
That's
sure.
so interesting.
Like, it just like didn't work. I just thought I mentioned I rolled my eyes at the very end. Like, every time that they were like, Piper, this is happening. You have to see. I was just like, God, okay, cool. Like, the only reason that this device works is to propel us forward into a horror movie about the very fact that Piper can't see. And I think that's kind of stupid.
That's so interesting because that to me was one of the better ideas. You know, I think
interesting. That's so fascinating.
I think it's like, but again, it's just like, it's like a meta version of the trope of things happening in the dark. Like when you don't know that the bomb is under the seat beneath you, the audience knows, but like the viewer or the protagonist doesn't know. The protagonist isn't blind. They just can't see it. But it's like, well, what if we made the protagonist blind so that like they had no idea what was going on, but the audience was able to see? Like, so for me, that kind of like, obviously this movie doesn't work if she's not blind. Like she has to be, you know, like given what they set up. So for me, it worked because it was just like, yeah, I mean, having one of your senses impaired anyways has got to be scary. But then, you know, being like a young girl and all that kind of stuff, like there's just so much more that's added on top of that. So yeah, I mean, I get it. Like if you don't buy into it, you don't buy into it. This movie doesn't work. So I totally hear you on that.
Yeah, I think that was like my biggest fault is that I just like didn't buy into this. And I do see what you're saying, and I do think that's like a novel idea on it. But like the inciting incident that takes us into the third act it only works because Piper can't see. And I just find that a little frustrating and like really just didn't work for me. Next up, this is where Andy and Piper meet Laura, who is an ex foster care parent. She has a current child that she's caring for named Oliver, who is essentially a chosen mute at this point and is weird. And that's pretty much all we know about Oliver. Oliver featured very heavily in the trailers of this movie. So if you saw the trailers, when you get the Oliver reveal, you kind of like, we're walking into the blast zone, like to use your bomb analogy, like we're walking into the thing that we know is going to go bad. They meet Laura. Laura rifles off, of course, played by Sally Hawkins here, which I think is notable. Rifles off some really bad jokes that like didn't land for me or my theater whatsoever, which I thought was strange. And then has Piper pet her dog that is taxidermied, that ultimately is designed to make you be like, what the fuck is wrong with this chick? And ultimately I was just like, this is just lame to me. Like she's weird. Okay, cool. Sure.
Man, it's so fun seeing a different movie than you. Because it's just like, she's weird. She wears purple to funerals. She's like, you know, she has a taxidermy dog. Like she's just like a strange lady. Like, all right, I guess maybe you kind of have to be if you're going to be a foster parent, like have these kids coming in and out of your house. Like, you've got to keep it lively and fun and whatever. And you got to tell the dumb jokes and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, they definitely made her weird, but again, it felt very intentional. As a obviously, as we learn, as a cover for what she's actually dealing with.
Yeah, 100%. It's her own anxiety kind of coming out in these situations, which I understand. Then the next bullet point I have on here is the father's funeral. Things happen. I know that. But I think the next like noteworthy thing is the father's funeral. Am I like skipping over anything major that you can recall?
No, I think this is the next like major thing that happens for sure.
Okay, cool. So this is where Laura does wear purple to the funeral. This is where they go, and it's an open casket funeral. Andy kind of refuses to look at his father, which we later learn is because his father abused him when he was a child and abused him. Did not abuse Piper because, again, she can't see, so she wouldn't know, which... Yep, nice job. Yep. That's what happens. And you can tell my disdain for this plot mechanic here. And this is where we kind of get the essence of Laura. She mentions that some people's souls linger on, even though their bodies have passed. She clips off some of the hair, which is, again, like a real, like, what is going on? Why is she doing that? And forces Andy to kiss his father on the lips.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange. Yeah, it's tradition. Must be done. It's gross and it's horrific and like it is real squirmy. And there was like one person in particular in my theater that was just like gagging the fuck out on this scene, and they were freaking out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that had any play in my experience personally, where I was just like, okay, we got to tone it down. Like, you're here for a horror movie, we get it. But we will get into this, so I don't want to spoil too much, but like this is the beginning that we get of like the lore of what is happening here. And that exploration doesn't work for me at all. And I'm going to put a pin in that because we're going to come to it in a couple of bullet points. But what did you think of the funeral?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. One of the things I took away from this is when Piper asked, like, how does he look? And he's like, oh yeah, he looks great. And then we find out later on that he didn't even look at his dad. We don't find out, but she finds out later on that he didn't even look at his dad. He's like, wait, you told me that he looked fine, you know? And earlier in the film, and, you know, this pays off later on, we've learned that they're like no bullshit word with each other.
Yeah, what's their code word?
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if they say grapefruit, the other person has to like tell the absolute truth, like drop the bullshit, tell me the actual facts here. And so we see that at the beginning. We see it throughout the whole film, and then we see how it gets used later on, kind of against Andy, and you know, to his detriment. But I'm trying to remember if this is a grapefruit moment or not. I don't know if it was, but yeah, this is where Piper's like, "Oh, you lied to me. Like, you told me you look at dad and you didn't." So noted, you know.
Yeah, noted. And I do think this investigates Andy's character of like, because it's told to us in the beginning that he wants to apply for guardianship when he does turn 18, guardianship of Piper. And this is like an insight into how he parents and how he views that he needs to take care of Piper and protect her from the world. Because if you forgot, she's blind. So that really impairs her ability to live a normal life, which it does. But also Andy kind of doesn't know how to deal with that. And I do think, in theory, there's a lot of good stuff there thematically that works together and really conjoins to make something powerful that, to me, is just like not explored enough. After the father's funeral, we party hard, and we party with Laura. Yeah. And Laura gets Piper to drink, and Andy's like, I'm not so sure about it, but okay. And then they kind of do a trauma dump, and Laura's like, you can talk to me, don't worry. And this is where Andy reveals his deepest, darkest secrets because Piper is asleep on the couch, I think. And they have kind of stayed up drinking. This is where Andy says, you know, my father beat me, and I feel a necessary responsibility to take care of Piper and all of these things. Laura, of course, uses this later to come back and haunt Andy and use it against him. I felt like the Philippou brothers were ripping off their own movie and doing it worse with a party sequence.
Yeah.
It's got a needle drop. Like, there is a very famous, popular song in this moment. Didn't work for me at all.
Yeah, it definitely didn't hit the same. You could tell they were kind of, this was one of the few things I felt like were like, oh, this worked on the first one. Let's try this again. Like, and like you said, this is kind of what we want from them, is like, show us people having fun during a horror movie. Like, let's see that
Yeah.
stuff. And that's kind of here, but it's just so different. There's also just the idea that like Piper's like 15 and they're just getting her fucking blitz on
It's
both
crazy,
whiskey
bro.
and vodka. It's like, what the fuck are you doing to this girl? Like, that's so messed up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it works only in the sense of Laura trying to like get information out of Andy, because again, something we've learned at the beginning is like Andy is a quote unquote troubled youth, and Laura didn't necessarily want to take him in, but she had to. So
Yeah.
now she's trying to like figure out how to separate them for reasons different than we know at the time. But yeah.
Which is an underlying narrative that comes out at the very end during a grapefruit moment where Piper is like, why? Like, why is all of this happening? And Andy basically has to be like, I'm not perfect, and have his own kind of traumatic reckoning, which feels very out of place to me. The next thing I have on here, Andy offers Oliver a snack. Now, I think this is the big, I would say, big horror moment of the movie, which is both cool and not cool to me. I'll let you speak on it because it seemed like it was much more effective for you. Laura and Piper are out of the house. Andy's like, I'm going to bond with Oliver. Let me offer you a snack. Turns around to and like leaves the knife on the counter and turns around for something. And we come back and bam, Oliver is fucking deep in a knife in his mouth.
He's just going to town on that thing, man. It's crazy.
It's pretty wild. Like, it's pretty gruesome and scary for sure.
Yeah, this is, if there's one thing I'll definitely give this movie, it's sound design. Because it really was effective for me. Yeah, I mean, Andy's cutting some cantaloupe, offers Ollie a piece, offers it to him on the tip of the knife, but instead Ollie just grabs the whole knife with his hand, and Andy's like, okay, be careful, man. Like, you don't have to do that. And then for some reason, Andy turns around to get something, and then when he turns it back to Ollie, Ollie's just like housing this knife in his mouth, just like cracking his teeth open, like just like chewing down on this thing, and just like quite literally possessed, you know, like he's just like, oh, like just going crazy on this. And Andy has to like wrestle it out of his hands, which is also was giving me like this crazy feeling of like, what would that be like to like be holding on to this butcher knife as tight as you can and have someone trying to pull it out of your hands, and it's also in your mouth. Like there's it's
gross.
Never forget it. Yeah.
It's gross. I think it's worth noting here too that this is the beginning of the underlying journey to figuring out who Oliver really is. And this is where Andy is like, I'm not going to give you a snack for free. Like, what you got to do, you got to draw or write or something like here.
Yeah.
Because
so you
he's
don't
trying
talk to me, write down what you want to say. Yeah,
exactly. He's trying to say something. And this, of course, again, comes because Ollie is like a chosen mute. Ollie writes down bird, which at the time we're just like, what the hell? Like, what does that mean? Comes out later that Oliver, it really is this person whose name is Connor Bird. And we will explore that part of the movie here in just a minute. Can we use this moment to detour for just a few minutes to the ritual lore? Because I think that this is a good opportunity to do so.
Yeah, let's do it.
You mentioned he's chewing on the knife like he's possessed. He's very hungry. So my understanding and what I've read on Wikipedia to refresh my memory is that Oliver is in fact growing an insatiable appetite because he is consumed with a demon who is using him as a vessel to basically reincarnate Laura's dead blind daughter, who is also blind.
Yeah.
Let it be known.
Yep.
It's fucking so stupid in my opinion. And he has to vomit the remains of what is in his body to a newly dead body that died in the same way. Why is he eating a knife? Why? What's up with the eating thing? Why is he hungry? He bites into Laura's arm later in the movie. He starts eating Kathy's frozen corpse later in the film. What is making him hungry?
I don't know. exactly, but it just feels like it's insatiable, and he's got to be eating something. I mean, even later on, he's eating wood, like he's eating the countertop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That shit was crazy. By the way, that was scarier to me
than the knife. Yeah. That scene was intense. Yeah, I don't know if it's just like the demon not knowing what the difference is between like humans and animals and just like objects and just like eating anything, you know, like because he's so hungry. I have no idea what possessed him to, you know, just go to town on this knife, but it was effective as weird as it might be.
That is my biggest problem I have with the movie, is that we don't explore the lore enough. We open the movie with like a very ominous VHS recording of people being like possessed by demons, being in like this basement, creating circles and chants, and like things are happening. And you're like, whoa, I can't wait to go back there and really figure out what's going on. And to me, I thought of Barbarian. The movie came out a few years ago, where there's a maze under the home, and we really get to learn more about the lore of this creature, person, mother, because we investigate the physical location.
Mm-hmm.
We do go back to like the shed in which Kathy's frozen corpse is kept.
Yeah.
We never make our way back to the ritual grounds, like where it happens, where these VHS tapes stem from. I don't know enough about the lore in order to appreciate this movie. And that's like what people are being like, you just didn't pay attention. And my biggest like criticism is like, you just didn't explain it. Like, it's just not very clear of like why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a real blink and you miss it kind of situation, I feel like, because it's these subtitles that are just like, all right, then the demon has to do this, and then this happens. It's just like literal subtitles. I think it's in Russian or something like that. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's kind of interesting. But that's for me where like I checked out on the narrative. I'm like, all right, I don't really care about this. Like, just like show me some cool visuals at this point. I just want to see what's going on. So,
yeah. Unfortunately, I did not go that direction. I was like, please tell me more of the lore that is happening here, because it's just not working for me.
This dumbass blind girl, who gives a shit about her?
Stupid blind girl. I don't get it. Like, what? Why are we making Laura's daughter also blind? Like, I know why. It's because she has to have somebody that's similar to Kathy that dies in the same way, which would be drowning in the pool, in order for her body to be resurrected through Oliver's body. I just think that's kind of lame. I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's just keep talking about the movie. Chews on a knife. This is where Laura comes back and is like, what the fuck are you doing with Ollie? And she takes him into her room, rubs his head in a circular motion while watching these VHS tapes of the ritual to calm him down. Why? What does Oliver benefit from reviewing these tapes? Or is that for Laura? To be this is why Laura, I did it.
Yeah, this is like a how-to video, like how to change the oil in your car. It's like how to bring your dead daughter back. Watch this video and we'll show you. That's how I took it.
Yeah. I think that's true.
They didn't have YouTube for this. It's real dark web shit. That's why it's on like a VHS. So yeah. Yeah,
that's true. I could see that. I guess it's for Laura's own sanity. Andy showers. An apparition comes to him and is like, don't let Piper out in the rain. And this is a big deal because Andy is afraid to shower. And you mentioned Laura is like, don't worry, your dad died in the shower. The shower didn't kill him. It's all good. You can do it. And I get it. Like, you got to have this moment in order to launch us into like, don't go in the rain. Like, please, Piper, stay safe. And then it's really, 45 minutes of like, one person is clued in almost all the way as to like scary shit is happening. And then one person is blind to it. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're describing horror movies. It's kind of crazy. One person knows there's a bad person and everyone else is blind to it.
Who would have thought? Thought?
You're Jamie Kennedy in Scream. You're telling everyone what the rules are, and everyone else is like, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
I am. Yeah,
That's you.
I'm like, this is how it works, guys. This is what to look out for. I do want to take a fork in the road real fast to talk about what the fuck is up with Laura dumping piss on Andy. What's up with all the shit she does to Andy, bro?
She's really fucking with him, really trying to get inside his head. Like, and it's working for sure, whatever she's doing.
It's crazy. She pisses in a pitcher and then dumps it on his pants and is like, oh, are you wet in the bed? And like in front of Piper. And it's obviously just to kind of drive a wedge between Andy and Piper's relationship and hope that Andy will abandon Piper so she can then kill her and will not have a witness or will not have an opposing force in the way.
Yeah, she's just using her piss to come between them. It's kind of wild.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Okay, next bullet point here. Laura takes Piper to the shed and offers her some of Kathy's old clothes and gets her to feel Kathy's corpse and is like, don't worry, it's just frozen meat. Eerie, for sure, and fucked up, definitely. Not ideal.
Can I be transparent with you about something real quick that I haven't told you, and some of our listeners may hate me for this?
Please.
Before I watched this movie, I read the wiki plot synopsis. I read the entire thing.
What the fuck, dude?
I wanted to know everything that was going to happen. Here's the thing.
That's crazy.
I totally skipped over the part about Piper being blind.
What?
So I know. So when this came up in the wiki, it's like she shows her Kathy's old corpse in the freezer and then tells her, don't worry, it's just meat. I was like, how dumb is this girl that she can like look at a body and be like, it's just meat? I totally, like, so many of the plot points didn't make sense to me because like I skipped over the fact that Piper was blind. I was like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, no, this is literally the only way I was going to go see this movie is if I knew everything that was going to happen. I did the same thing in a different way with Hereditary. My partner saw it before me. She came home and I was like, cool, tell me everything. Like, I'll go see it with you once I know everything that's going to happen. And I, for some reason, was feeling the same exact way. Because again, this trailer led me to believe this is going to be like a just insane film. And it didn't end up being that bad. But yeah, so I know that like breaks some sort of rule or whatever. I'm kind of disappointed in myself, but there's no way I was going to see it without it.
Yeah, I can understand. I don't respect it, but I understand.
I don't respect it, but I had to do it. I had to do it.
Whatever got you to see the movie, that's the important part here. I think that's insanely hilarious that you missed the part where Piper was blind. That's
so funny.
That is so funny to me. Okay, so the really weird stuff continues, and for me, it's like the sake of weird stuff happening that just is like kind of fizzling more and more and more as it happens. That's the problem, that because I didn't buy into this in the beginning, it just fizzles and fizzles and fizzles. And like every time we do it again and have another jump scare and have another inciting incident, it just like works less and less and less for me. So that like, it was kind of a downhill adventure personally. Yeah. Andy is then released from the hospital. I don't remember why he's in the hospital. Do you remember
when
why?
He fell in the shower, he concussed himself.
Oh, right. Yes, fell in the shower. Andy's released from the hospital. Laura tells Piper that he is abusive just like his father because basically she decks the ever-loving shit out of Piper, which to me, that moment, that was the only moment in the whole movie where it's like, oh, fuck.
That was a cool shot, too. That was a really cool shot.
It
like,
was.
Tied on Piper's face and like slowly pull out and then just, yeah, it was great.
It was good.
Like, spraying that Axe body spray on to like be Andy. It was so smart.
That is the kind of sequence where I'm like, the Philippou brothers have a juice. They have got something special that they can really act on. And so continuing to drive that wedge between Andy and Piper. And then things start to just continue to go sideways.
Yeah, we're off the rails here.
Really off the rails, deep into the third act now. Andy visits the foster care center and is like, listen, Laura is lying and beating Piper, and this is crazy what is happening. The woman there honestly just like doesn't believe him because she's like, she used to work here. She's great. How bad could she be? And this is where he spots a poster for Connor Bird. I liked this reveal. I think this is a good reveal. I think it works. I think it ties back to the Bird note that is written, and it's interesting to me. It's just it's just like one aspect of the movie, which is a bummer for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, overall, I think this is an interesting sequence where he's like trying to convince this lady, like, please come check this out. And the Connor Burr thing is like, because this kid isn't Ollie. Like, whoever this kid is, like,
Right.
it's not who they're saying it is. So to find out that it's like a missing child who had long, like, luscious locks of hair and he's now just like got a shaved head. It's interesting to see him like convince her to come over to the house and to not call her beforehand to like let her know. So this is the inciting incident. I think of like, okay, cool, we're gonna catch her, we're gonna figure this out, and you as the viewer just like, how is this gonna go wrong?
Yeah, well, while he's at the foster care center, Oliver's trashing the house, and Ollie bites Laura again. The insatiability of a demon, apparently, is what we're working with here. And again, like, I know it's a horror movie, and I know horror movies live and thrive on tropes, but like, it's very tropey. It's like the social worker comes over, and Laura tries to hide everything, and is like, "Yeah, we're totally good, don't worry." And then like the last possible moment, the lady is like, "Oh, Laura, you're bleeding. Like, what's wrong with you?" And Laura's like, "Get the fuck out of my house." And she's like, "Okay, I should stick around and see what's going down." Yeah, okay. That happens. The important part here for me is that Andy calls Piper on the way over to the house and is like, "I have not been a good big brother. I have not been looking out for you the way that I should, and I'm really sorry about that." And Laura finds Piper's phone and deletes the message. This is, to me, like the most evil thing that she does. It's worse than dumping piss on Andy, and it's worse than punching Piper in the face. Like, this is truly like, I don't care about you as people type stuff.
Yeah, for sure. This is the most heartbreaking moment, I think, of the film. Just like hearing him tell Piper the truth, about everything that he did wrong, but how much he loves her. We get the grapefruit in this as well. This totally works. And Laura, this is, like you said, it might be the most sadistic thing she does this whole movie.
Yeah, it's not great, and things continue to get worse. The social worker's name is Wendy. Shout out Wendy,
Wendy.
for getting up off of the desk and just being like, okay,
in the rain.
check it out.
You wouldn't have got me out of my desk if it was raining. Like, listen, kid, I'll come tomorrow, but it's raining.
Yeah, that's a big win for her. Andy takes Wendy out to the shed because he assumes something wrong or bad is happening there. He doesn't know for sure because he does not know Kathy's corpse is out there, and he doesn't know that the ritual things even exist, which, again, a lot of logistical questions, like, is this downstairs? Does this lead to a pit? Like, where are these rituals taking place if they're somewhere in the shed? Because that's like a tiny greenhouse shed, and there was not enough space there in that floor. Andy and Wendy see Kathy's frozen body, and Laura runs them over with her car in the rain. Wendy dies on impact, and Andy gets drowned in a puddle of mud and rainwater.
Yeah.
And again, like, effective moment to me. We linger, we stay, we watch, we sit there with the aftermath. Disturbing stuff.
Watching Wendy get like propelled on the hood of Laura's car into her own, got a literal like verbal "oh fuck" out of me. It was like, damn, like that was gnarly. That was so crazy. And then to drown Andy in this little puddle because he just can't move. Like, it was wild.
Yeah, the ruse is up at this point in time. Laura's down bad for sure. Laura spills the beans about the plan to Piper and is like, "Listen, this has to happen now. Ollie is, I've seen an angel, and this is what must happen, and I must kill you the way my daughter died in order to resurrect my daughter, and that's why I have her corpse." And there's a struggle in the pool. Laura drags Piper into the pool. Ollie is there, like on the steps, kind of very ominously, just like waiting in preparation for the death so he can then vomit the new body, I guess, or the new soul on
with the coolest beer belly, like little Bobby Hill, just like walking around this pool. It's like silently. I loved that shot so much. He was
it really is. Yeah, it really is. Good vibes. And this is where Piper You think Piper dies for a moment. She comes above the water surface and screams out, "Mom," which is like a callback to what Laura had said earlier of like, I just want to hear Kathy say "Mom" one more time. And Kathy is, or Laura, excuse me, is overcome with dread and grief and doubt and regret and remorse, and ceases to engage in the finality of the ritual. Piper escapes, goes to the road, gets picked up by a couple people, which I thought was incredibly tropey and dumb. And then the cops swarm the house in investigation. And again, didn't work for me. Worked for a lot of people. They thought it was really sad and really traumatic, and a great analysis of how trauma can ultimately derange our mental state. I just didn't get that out of it. My one question to you, outside of what do you think of this sequence, is how did the officers know to come? You know? Was it like, what happened? How much time had elapsed? Who tipped them off? Because Wendy's only been gone from the office for, I don't know, an hour? Maybe?
Oh, I see. I felt like it had been longer than that, but maybe not. But
okay. Maybe.
I thought there was like a sequence of Andy telling Wendy to call the cops or something, but I could be making that up. Who knows when the cops showed up? Maybe the people that found Piper, they called the cops. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That checks out. Yeah.
I don't know.
I would assume
I don't want to make you like
happened.
this movie, but I think there might be.
Don't worry. That makes me like it less, actually. So don't worry.
Good.
No harm done.
Cool.
Did you like this ending?
I mean, no, I thought it was like, it just ended. I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's it. I don't know what I wanted, but like it was fine. I didn't care. I wasn't bothered by, seeing cops around someone before in movies, but yeah, I was just like, okay.
I mean, they go up to Oliver and they're like, "What is your name?" And he's like, "Connor Bird." And they're like, "We got a positive ID on this guy." And then they swarm the place. What
did you want them to do? Did you want them to like shoot him in the head and like play with his corpse or something like that? Like, what did you think they would do to this kid?
I don't necessarily care that like they ID'd Oliver as Connor Bird and like that they swarmed the place. Give us 3 minutes of the cops breaking into the shed, walking down to the ritual area and just being like, "What the fuck?" And then cut the movie. That's so much more interesting to me.
I don't think the ritual area was at that house. I think
Where is it?
That's what I think's in Russia. That's the thing that got filmed and sent to her.
Laura's not performing the ritual?
I mean, she is. Like when we get the bird's eye view of her house, we see that she's put the white stuff all around her house.
Right.
So she's performing the ritual.
I think that's just to keep Oliver from escaping the grounds.
Yeah, I just feel like that's all part of the ritual.
His possessed body can't get out of that make-believe force field.
Yeah, she needs him to do the ritual there. So that's why she has all the white stuff there. Yeah. I think she's about to perform the ritual in the pool. Like that's where it was going to happen.
But she doesn't do the initial ritual that possesses Oliver.
No. I don't know how.
Oh, what?
I don't know how that happened. I have no idea how she got that.
This movie fucking blows, dude. Not even the main character does the.
I mean, maybe she does. We just don't see it. You know what I mean? Like somehow it happened. She took Connor Bird and turned him into Ollie. Which again, like we get a callback later of like, oh, he has curly red hair. Then we see like her actual nephew that had curly red hair and stuff like that. I don't know. She must have like changed him somehow, but we just don't see it.
I think you're right. I think you're right. That makes the most sense. But that's the most frustrating thing to me. We don't explicitly know.
Yeah.
We're sitting here being like, well, who did it? How did they do it? When, like, where was it going to go? Like,
well, we all aren't thinking that.
We all are not thinking that?
Yeah, I think you're thinking that. You want to know.
No, I want everybody to think how I think.
Give me all the story. Tell me everything. I think some of us are just like, all right, she transferred Connor Bird into Ollie, so she has a demon now. So now she just needs a blind girl. I don't know.
That's fair. I'm happy for those people. Go with it. Okay. So bring her back as a movie for A24. What's your true cinema moment of this film, Ben?
I mean, it has to be Cantaloupe. Like nothing's going to stick with me in this movie or in a lot of movies like this scene did.
Totally fair. I agree. I think that is
it's an easy answer, but like I don't know. Moments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chewing on the countertop, that was gnarly.
Yeah, I'm going to go with chewing on the countertops because I was just like, that would fucking hurt, you know?
So
Your
bad.
jaw? That would crush
I wondered
you.
how they practically did that. Like, because that kid's chewing on something. Like, what is it?
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious. Okay. Well, that's true cinema. Let's do a one act for this movie.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I've got sophomore films. This is, of course, a sophomore film from the Philippou brothers here. So I've got a short list of some of the, I'd say, most popular things that I think are worth mentioning. I didn't do my own research to kind of like deep dive on this because I'm sure there's something out there that I would pick.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. So we've got Bring Her Back, of course, Pulp Fiction, Tarantino's sophomore film, American Graffiti for George Lucas, Memento for Chris Nolan, Jaws for Spielberg, Beetlejuice for Tim Burton, Alien for Ridley Scott, The Terminator for James Cameron, Seven for David Fincher, Boogie Nights for PTA, Adaptation for Spike Jonze, Rushmore for Wes Anderson, The Rock for Michael Bay, Requiem for a Dream for Darren Aronofsky, Cinema Paradiso I thought was important to include on this, Giuseppe Tornatore, and The Sixth Sense for M. Night Shyamalan. Those are what I have on the short list. There's one that I was trying to think of, but I don't know if it applies.
What is it?
I can't tell you. I have to. I'm going to search it up myself. Find it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it applies.
Ooh, all right. Well, I'm curious.
What are you going to pick?
I'm just going to go off this list here and say Jaws because it's just like one of the best movies of all time. So it's an easy follow up. I am curious, obviously, when this is coming out, when we're recording this, neither of us have seen it, but I wonder if Materialist would make this list.
That is a great question.
Yeah.
Great question. I see it in, about 40 minutes. So
nice.
I'll have to let you know on the next episode when we actually talk about the film.
Nice.
I'm going to stay in the A24 family here. I would pick Boogie Nights, because it's Boogie Nights, but I'm going to say Midsommar. I'm going to stay on the horror brand. Stay within the A24 stable. Of course, Ari Aster makes Hereditary in 2018, goes on to make Midsommar in 2019. Beau's Afraid in 2023. The Rebo. Beau is Re-Afraid. It's coming, and we will be doing it. And of course, Eddington coming out in 2025, which we did just get our first non-teaser trailer.
Mm-hmm.
A24 has no idea how to market this movie, and I cannot wait for that film. So I'm going with Midsommar.
Can I give you one more answer for this?
Please.
Creed from Ryan Coogler.
Oh, great answer.
Great sophomore movie.
Yeah.
Big challenge to jump into a franchise, legacy sequel, all that kind of stuff. And I think he pulled it off wonderfully. So Jaws is obviously Jaws. All these movies are great, but I'm going to say Creed. I want to do something off the list. That's
a great one. Well done. Okay, let's do our A24 ranking for Bring Her Back. I'm going to let you go first, Ben.
I feel like a C+.
Okay.
I think that's how I feel about this. Like, it's still an above average grade, but like not much more. I was debating between that and a B-, but I think C+ with the opportunity to go up.
Okay.
What about you?
That's pretty good. So C+ with the opportunity to go up. I don't think I'm ever going to be rewatching this movie. And I am really curious to see what they do for like a physical release of this film, etc. Dude, honestly, it's a D- for me. Just like almost nothing about this movie worked. And I'm really sorry to be dumping piss all over our party here, but it just didn't work.
No, this is great. I feel like I'm talking to myself about I saw the TV glow. So it's just like, yeah, like get it. Like if you didn't buy into it from the beginning, you're not gonna like it.
That Stray is crazy. That Stray
is it wrong
crazy.
Though? Is it wrong?
Oh my God.
Did you know it's a trans allegory? I don't know if you caught on to that or not. And did you know that she's blind because she can't see what's happening? Like, yeah, you either buy into it or you don't. It is what it is.
Wow. Yeah, that was a fucking bullet to the heart right there, Ben. That was insane. That was so crazy. So crazy. Okay. Next time on the pod, we're talking about Materialists, Celine Song's follow-up to the Oscar-nominated Past Lives, a movie that we both enjoyed thoroughly.
Yeah.
I am curious. I have my reservations about Materialists. I'll just say that.
The cast is interesting. Like, how do you
That's my
make
biggest
someone not
reservation.
want to be with Chris Evans? Like, Pedro's
Mhm.
great, but like, how are you going to convince me that she doesn't want to be with Chris Evans? I don't know. I'm curious.
I'm trying to keep my mind open going into Materialists,
Yeah.
and we'll see how it works for me.
Well, stay tuned next episode for our thoughts on Materialists. But for now, let us know what you guys thought about Bring Her Back. You can talk to us. We're on Twitter and Instagram at 24 Minutes of A24. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can watch us talk about these movies, these projects. I guess we don't always do movies. Sometimes we do TV stuff and whatever else. So, yeah, thanks everyone for your support. We appreciate it. I am Ben Lawhorn.
And I am Ethan Simi. Spring break forever, bitches.